the dash and the stick is with it. And I hit the 4-5 on the west side.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Young Closer Podcast. It's your host, Jacob Hagerman. Guys, before we begin the show, make sure you shoot me a follow on the Instagram at The Real Young Closer. That's where we keep all updates and everything special going on inside my life, the Elliott Group, and everybody that's associated here, some of the wins that we get all day. But, guys, number one, I got somebody special here in the house, as you can tell. It's somebody that has been on the episode in the past. We got Danny Klein. Danny, number one, give a little introduction where they can find you on the gram and social media, man.
What's up, family? It's good to be back on here, man, chopping it up with my OG, Jacob Hagerman. If you guys haven't seen me on the gram, on Facebook, you guys can follow me at official Danny Klein on Instagram. Also just launched YouTube. We're blowing up there. A lot of behind the scenes.
Yeah, man, go follow
a lot of cool
this man
shit there.
YouTube.
Make sure you
go
tap
subscribe.
in on there,
put
too.
the notification bell on, man. Stop missing out on that. But, dude, my God, what a year.
It's been a crazy one. Like, looking back, me and Jacob were chopping it up in the office, and he was like, man, I can't believe we're going on 3 years. And I was like, we're going on 4, bro. Like,
man, I was literally time, man.
I was going back through making a little, 2023 Instagram reel, and I'm just looking, and some of the stuff back from January, February, March, April just literally feels like it was not just this past year, but like 2 years ago.
Yeah, dude.
And I think that just a lot to reflect on, A lot to reflect on, a lot of good moments to really enjoy.
A lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure, man. It went by fast, you know.
It went by so fast. Like I was talking to on the audio cast, the last episode, the one before this one, pretty much was the audio cast, and I was like, man, like my first time public speaking and like traveling and training was January, which was at Brian Benstock's. And then we went back again.
Oh, good old Paragon Honda.
Old Paragon Honda Acura. And then I was sitting and I was like, man, dude, like all of the things that I've accomplished this year are crazy. Like when you look back at what this year really was, like let's just like set sales and like business aside, bro. Do you remember Chinese balloon? The Chinese balloon over America?
Barely.
Yeah, that was this year. Bro, you remember the submarine?
Oh, the submarine.
Yeah, bro. That was this year.
That's so weird to think about.
Bro, this year was like 5 years put into one. And I think I just completely because like the culture that we run in, like nobody watches the news and stuff like that. And like the Ukraine-Russia war, everything that's going on right now, like it all happened this year. And I was sitting there and I was like looking back. I was like, dude, I think I totally just like dissociated with everything and like just focused on like winning, focused on the company, culture, God, our clients. But I was just sitting there and I was like, dude, I cannot believe that it was what it was.
I've made it's just so weird. Like I think that I've made like probably 5 years of like regular people progress, or 10 years, like just a ridiculous amount of progress in this last year. And that's why it feels like it's not only just been like 1 or 2 years, but like 3 or 4.
Oh yeah.
And just because you're like doing so much and you just are so focused on the day, on the week, on the month, and just making sure you're capitalizing and you're always pushing the needle. And then like, and honestly too, like one thing I'm taking into 2024 is I want to be a little bit more like, present in the moment, enjoy a little bit more of the process.
We're talking about this.
Because like, man, I've been fucking killing it, but I look up, I'm like, dang, like I barely remember some of that shit because I was just so focused on the actual production, the actual call, and then you wake up and do it again. You stay in that grind. You're so busy that you forgot to be like, dang, like, let me check in with the fam. Let me check in with the team. How I wonder how they are. And then just staying plugged into that, because you look up and it's like, dang, years have gone by and all you focus on is actually, the business, but you didn't focus on all these other areas. And just want to be a little bit more present, because I was there, but like mentally, I just feel like I could be a little bit more in depth with people and the things, a little bit more like intentional.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, like I could say this last year alone, and like this is like a big thing that I'm really putting a lot of energy and intention to. Is last year I made more money that last year than I did from 16 to the time to the year before.
Yep.
You know what I mean? In 1 year. And I was like, I was sitting there, I was like, oh my God, bro, like that is ridiculous. Like, am I proud that I made that money? Like, yes. Am I proud that I put in the grind? Yes. But it's always like the old saying, like everybody says like, oh, money doesn't make you happy and stuff like that. Like I kind of got a first like real life glimpse of it where it's like you can go buy what you want and you're just like, okay, cool. Like it's not new anymore. Like it's just like, oh, you want to go to this nice steak dinner? All right, let's go. You want to go buy some Louis? Let's go. You want to go buy some, Louboutins? Let's go. You want to go buy 3 new suits? All right, cool. And it's just like, wow. Like I always thought like, oh, must be nice. Like, oh yeah, it's easy for you to say. Back a couple of years back when, I was around people that had money like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's easy for you to say. And then I had my first glimpse of it, and I was like, damn, dude, okay. Like, I know what you mean now. And it's one of those deals where it's not about making the money, it's what you do with it. That now, like, that's what my 2024 plan is like, what am I going to do with the money? Like, what am I going to, like, what are my experiences going to be? What are the memories going to be? Like, what are some of the things that, like, I'm going to be able to contribute to, like, bigger charitable causes, be able to tithe a little bit more at church, And I do those things already, but, like, how much further could I take that ball down the field?
Yep.
And for me, like, it was a big eye-opener these past, like, probably 3 weeks I've been reflecting on this, just kind of getting myself out of, like, this constant war mode and going, like, hey, like, what's the long-term play here? Because, like, you can make the money. Like, you can 100% make it. You can do it year over year over year over year over year. But, like, at the end of the day, we're all going to go to the grave.
It was like going back to the conversation that we were having back in the office. It goes back to, like, what are you building? It's a question I always ask myself is, like, I've always been, like, a long-term player. And you got to win short-term to be able to win long-term. But I think if you always think, hey, is this a good decision or a bad decision, if you always use the framework of thinking, like, will this pay off in the long term? If the answer is yes, it's generally going to be a good move. A lot of people actually make moves that benefit more in the short term versus long term, which actually hurts them in the long term. And so, just look at, like, what am I building? What am I investing? What am I saving? What am I building with the brand? What am I, like, what's the long-term play?
You know what? Let's stick on that real quick because we've had a lot of guests on, and a lot of them are, like Rob Bailey, famous. Like we've had, like Rio. I mean, great guy, making a lot of money, doing very good things. But, obviously a lot of my people that watch are, around our age, 23, 24, sometimes up to 30, 40, 50. But I want to know, like, what are some of the financial things that you're planning on doing or have been that's like that, like, you're like, okay, that's long-term play for me.
So there's a few things. So one is I call it like a midterm play, not like short term, but not like long term, to buy a house.
What's your definition of midterm?
Midterm is like 6 to 12 months.
Okay.
It's very, very simple. Like, just not an immediate week, month, or the next, 90 days, but something just a little bit, longer than that, right? So one of those for me is buying my first house. I look at what I've done this last 2 years, and I'm like, damn, I probably could have bought, like, a house, if not, 2 or 3 houses, and I could still get one at this moment right now, but I really want to do it the right way and get that first, like, house under my belt so I can start, really building that portfolio there and just getting some real estate. So buying the first house here in the next 6 months. I want to make my first $1 million in commissions in a calendar year, right? Cash, like, taxable, everything. I want to save up. I want $500,000 in the bank, liquid, after all expenses, after investments, after bills, like, just straight liquid. See, a lot of people, they make a lot of money, but they also spend a lot of money. And anybody that says they haven't been guilty of that is just a liar. Everybody goes through that phase. For the most part, we'll go through that phase. When I say a lot of money, I mean, like, minimum, like, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. You start to look at, where could I be putting that money in a better place? So I want to be investing my money every single month into real estate, into investment accounts, buy my first house, stack away $500,000 here in this year, not like on top of what I have, but just this calendar year alone. Those are some of my immediate financial goals that I have for myself.
I mean, I'm going to say this. I'm not a financial expert, by the way. Neither of us are. So at the end of the day, take this advice with a grain of salt. I mean, do what you want with your money. It's, it's yours. But I mean, like, my strategy that I put into place was, it was 3 things primarily. Most of it was, like, tax shelter. Like my 401k just made a big contribution to that. So then that way, Save a little bit of money from the old Uncle Sam, so you can't touch that shit, dog. And then my permanent life insurance policy, like it's like a stupid cash value, like
Yep.
$3 million, and that way I can like borrow against it after a certain period of time. And then I've got an investment account, so then that way I can just park some money for like the 5-year plan. Because I think in all reality, a year is still short term, like anything like back of a year is still short term.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think 2 to 5 is midterm, and then 5+ is a little bit long term thinking. Like that's what mine. And then like if you're talking,
See, my long term is like 10+, like 10+ years is my frame for long term.
In a normal society, like if we go back 10 years, yes, long term is 10+. You go back 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we didn't even know what COVID was, and so like look at how much the world has changed and evolved. The world is evolving faster to where long term plays. Like you have to shorten the time frame to do more because of how fast everything evolves and adapts.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think long term's 5, like 5+. And for me, it's just like, dude, take care of those accounts, like put as much into those as possible. And then, obviously, and I say this on the podcast, I haven't met anybody like inside of like my personal network. Like I have one guy, Nick Johnson, like with like when it comes to like Airbnbs and stuff like that. But like outside of him, like I don't have anybody that's like super well in depth, like super qualified, like to help me with like the real estate investment. And so like I'm a big believer of like, hey, like if I'm gonna slide you some racks, like I want to have a higher level of trust than like 100%. Just like an acquaintance. And like Nick's one of those guys, Sawyer, up at Northwestern Mutual. He's our works with us. And
I was gonna bring something up. That's actually funny that you mentioned that because I was gonna tie it back to something. Have you read Profit First?
So I started reading it, and then I called them and I said, I already have all this set up naturally between like all the accounts, like profit account, owner expense.
I want to share that with these people.
Accounts.
So I was going on my phone, for the people, wanting to stack some more money and put their money in like better places. If you guys haven't read Profit First audiobook, or at least like a YouTube summary of it, it basically tells you how to set up your LLC and then how to structure all of your accounts inside of your bank, of your business LLC. And it goes operating, owner's pay, revenue account, profit account, tax account, and basically it'll give you a good structure. So if anybody
quarter bonus account, dog.
Yeah, for anybody that wants to set aside, for taxes, for anybody that wants to structure themselves in the right way, if you just have a straight like checking account and a savings account,
you're going to spend it.
You're going to spend it. You're going to think that you have more money than you actually do when you should be setting all of these aside and diversifying them for what is your expense, what does it cost, you have employees, do you have overhead, or maybe you're a salesperson that's making 6 figures. You need to make sure that you section it out and set yourself up for success, even if it's even if they're labeled differently. You may not actually have a true like operating account, meaning you're not spending a lot of outbound cash to be able to operate what you're doing. But you should section those off into somewhat of a similar fashion so that you can save the right way. It feels nice, and you start to realize once you diversify that money.
I've got 6 accounts.
Yep.
Like six little places where I park it. And like the cool thing is obviously like what you're gonna get paid, here in the Elliott Group, like whenever, the 10th comes. Like that's commission day.
Yeah.
And because you get your washouts, you know what it is, like boom, you're good, you're ready to roll. And dude, like my favorite thing to do is simply like look at where I'm at for comparative to last month. And like I always look at it like, oh well, hey, listen, like I spent a little bit much in this account, and then like go find it like, okay, where did I overspend? Or like, hey, like I actually have some free assets that I allocated to this account. I actually can allocate a little bit less and still have that same amount, and now I've got free money that I can just put straight into an investment. And that's what I've been doing, pretty heavily here. I'd say the back half of 2023, from June on.
So when Uncle Sam usually knocks on your door.
What, June on? Yeah, from June on is when he starts tapping in.
Yeah, he's like, hey, bro.
Well, I mean, I've done.
How you doing?
Yeah. I know this. I've done everything pretty well to tax plan for the last 90 days, pretty solid. So we're already good. Let's
take this conversation into a direction of like 2024 business planning for all the people out there that are trying to set up their year for success. On the time of shooting this podcast, it's the 2nd, right? It's a Tuesday. And if you don't have your business plan put in place, if you don't have your goals, if you don't have everything set in place, then it's time. Like, it's already the second. Or if you have a business plan, you got to think, is this a real business plan, or is this some goals without actual, like, time targets and deadlines for me to be able to actually achieve these things? You know, I see a lot of people, they set goals, but they don't have any deadlines. You know, see, if I want to achieve something, I got to say, hey, I want this by this time. And that creates the urgency framework for you to be able to actually go and accomplish those things. So then you actually have a deadline attached to it. Because imagine this. Imagine if you were a kid and I was like your dad, right? And I was like, hey, Jacob, go clean your room. And you're like, when do I have to have it cleaned by the end of the day? When are you going to clean your room?
At the very end of the day.
At the very, very fucking end of the day. But if I was like, hey, have it cleaned in the next 15 minutes, you get it cleaned. So a lot of times we have these goals that we set out that we could get done in a much shorter time frame, which is what we teach on, is compressing time frames, just simply by putting a deadline and keeping yourself accountable by recognizing the fact that you have to get something done in a certain time frame, which is for all my sales guys that want to hit their sales targets. This is why all these salespeople hit their goals at the very end of the month instead of figuring out what do I have to do in my hour, in my day, in my week to be able to have that kick-ass month and make the money I want to make. But let's take this in a direction of like business plan. Like, what are some of your goals, like your business plan, your goals? What are some themes and some things that you want to carry into 2024 for yourself?
I mean, so me personally, so in the next, I mean, I'll keep some of the things vague because obviously, you know, there's some things in the Elliott Group that, you know, we just can't just, put out to the world. But my biggest one, which is what I call critical success, is if I don't hit this, then the month was just complete mission failure. But if I hit this and I miss a couple of the other ones, then it's still critical. Like, it was the biggest critical task. That means the year was still a win. All of these were just like additives and extras. For me, it's to be able to put 100,000 a month new on contracts inside of the Elliott Group. So that be like, you know, with our automotive teams, with, you know, our solar, real estate, you know, all these other teams out there. And the way that I'm truly going to do this is I've got a pretty good network now, but I'm going to go back into that network, go be able to just flood the market with an excess of value. And then I want to, you know, as I always say, that I learned from Coach Burt, that was something that was very game changer. Like, if you're a salesperson and you deal with referrals, like, say this: if you're in a position to provide additional value at no cost, say this: I like to fight for those that fight for me. If I'm going to fight for your team to become successful, I want you to fight for me to be successful as well. So who's a couple people that you know that you could refer me, so then that way I can give them the same level of value that I've given you here today, and we can just continue to do more. And the more that you do it for me is the more that I want to do it for you. And obviously, as anything goes, when you start to win more, don't you get paid more? Yes. Okay, great. Well, I just want to see us both get paid. And so for me, it's to be able to go back into that network that I have of people and be able to provide as much valuable, like, information as possible, take care of their teams, and be able to push just a little bit harder. And the core principle of that, I think 70% of it is going to be automotive, because those are my people. That's a business that I know very well. And then 30% is going to be in the entrepreneurial and other business aspects. And then of that 100,000 on contract, I want all of that to be like teams. And then I have a goal for a new amount, which is 30,000 of like Andy's inner circle, and inside of that, and the people that are partaking in that group. But that'll be a very easy one. I'm trying to hit that one in 4 months and do that 4 times over. So then that way, when I break down, or 3 times over, my bad, and then be able to do that, so I can set up this plan that will allow me dependable and more reliable success. Because the one thing that I really wish that I had in 2023 I'm going to have this year, and then most likely even more so, not most likely, absolutely in next year, is I want to be able to move laterally without feeling like I'm missing anything. You know what I mean? Like, have the ability and freedom to move laterally, so I'm not showing up thinking like, oh, I gotta get on the phone today to make $1. No. Like, there's yes, do I still want to sell? Do I still want to close? Do I still want to provide value? And if you guys are watching this and you don't like the fact that I just said sell, I mean, too bad. Sorry. I'm a sales guy and I'm a coach and I speak. So.
And by the way, before you finish that, I just want to also add on to that. If you're not like directly making like sales, like you're on the phone or you're in commission, I mean, you're watching the Young Closer podcast, so like, you can't be offended by selling if you're watching the Young Closer podcast.
If you're not closing,
but you're always
here's
selling.
What you are. No, if you're not closing, you just take out the C and that's what you are. Young losers.
Young losers. Dude, you know what's so funny, though? But, like, look at, so just for half of a second.
That's a clip.
Bro, Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is a life coach.
Yeah, he sells.
But he also has, a sales training program. Why? Because everything is influence.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're always selling. You're either selling people to want to do something with you or not do something with you. The stuff that you're posting is either convincing people to want to follow you, not follow you. Like, the pizza that you're making, whether you got a pizza shop, if it tastes good, you're selling them on coming back.
And if
the
you're
service.
single, well, guess what? The clothes you wear, the hygiene, the athleticism, the way you present yourself is either going to influence the person that you want to be with, right? And it's going to influence, like, the person that wants to be with you. So if you want some Mac Dimes, okay, you got to have some Mac Dime influence.
I'm excited for 2024, though.
Dude,
it's gonna be kick-ass, you know.
Dude.
I'm going to blow the fuck up with my brand, like, not just like social media videos, not just like YouTube videos, but like going back to those goals, dude, I will be on 20 podcasts plus this year.
Well, we've already knocked off one, so.
There's
19.
number 1 and 10 stages. I'm calling my shot for me right now.
I'm going to call my shot right now.
Because I'm excited for this shit.
I'm going to be riff-raff. I'm going to blow up and act like I don't know nobody. I'm playing. But no, man, like 2024 is good. It's I listen to a lot of Patrick Bet-David, which, by the way, guys, Patrick Bet-David is confirmed to be speaking down here at the Master Closer Seminar July 27th of 2024. So if you're watching this, number one, you're a big Patrick Bet-David fan, a big Andy Elliott fan, and we host an event out here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Guys, here's what I want you to do. I want you to shoot me a text at 501-504-4835 and literally put PBD. All right, just put PBD, and I'm going to know exactly what it is. And then what we'll do is we'll give you guys information about what it looks like to be able to come down, come attend the event. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but PBD sold PHP for $230 million. He's got Valuetainment. We got Andy just dominating the space, killing it. So it's two Goliaths coming into attack and just destroy mediocrity and any type of excuses. So some crazy stuff is going down in 2024.
Nah, fuck that. Text me.
Don't. If
I'm just playing.
Yeah, or text him. Hey, listen, if you're watching this because you like Danny, text him, okay? But if you're watching this because you like the podcast,
one thing I respect about Andy so much is I've watched this dude, like, everybody knows him as the sales trainer, as the guy that's gonna go out and close the deals, motivate people, show them their new level. But one thing I've watched this guy, he's just an absolute, and it seems so basic to me, but like as I watch it, he's gotten himself into every single room that he's wanted to get into, every single relationship that he wants to get into. And one thing I've always noticed, especially with these bigger players, and it starts to compound and get easier as you move up the ranks in the game, but it's just like I'll tell the ground level guy, you got to pay to play. Like, just straight up, bro. Like, it's so simple. Bro, like, people don't want to listen to me when I'm like, hey, you got to pay to play to get in the room to come to the seminar at that initial investment, right? I'm not even talking about you paying to come out to an event or anything. I'm just saying how Andy's got himself into rooms is he's paid to get in front of people. He's paid to partner with people. He's initiated those relationships to be able to get in the same room and initiate and start off that relationship. And then guess what? The tables turn because he brings so much value back the other way that he starts stacking these IOUs with these other people so they feel like they owe him one. And that's how you create a real relationship, is that he now, in a sense, has leverage over this person that he then wanted to get in front of, now has leverage over because he's got his foot in the door and now has more influence and value back the other way. Not in a bad way, but in a good way of, like, I feel like I owe you something, right? If I bring over, it's like Thanksgiving dinner. If I got Thanksgiving laid out and, someone brings, they bring some corn, someone brings cornbread, but then you got a family that brings the turkey, the cornbread, the freaking sweet potatoes, everything. It's like they've brought everything to the table. They're like, oh, shit. Like, they brought the whole Thanksgiving.
He gets a seat at the table to eat.
He gets a seat.
And the cool thing is like I've obviously, like, me and you are some of Andy's first hires. We had the twins, then us, and then, dude, the deal is every single time Andy's called a shot, like when we started with Bradley, and then next thing you know, PBD and Rob Bailey and Ryan Pineda and everybody who Andy has done something with, he called the shot. And he did it in a fraction of the time because he came in with a clear and concise plan of what's it going to take to actually be in the room at the right time and be a player in the room. Because there's a guy, like, I'm going to be honest, there's somebody watching this that's like, oh well, how do I get noticed by Danny? How do I get noticed by Andy? How do I get noticed by one of the guys on the team? And then they're gonna come in, they're gonna come in and do a general admission ticket, which is like, hey, it's great. Like if you want to be in the room, soak up information, that's what you're there to do. But if you have an ulterior motive, which not always negative, okay, ulterior motives aren't negative. Like yes, you came there to learn, you came there to grow. But if like you're trying to
give an opportunity,
yeah, if you're looking for that opportunity, like you've got to stand out from the crowd because either you're standing out or you're being cast aside. Like if you don't stand out, you're cast aside. I mean, just go anywhere in life. Like I can't walk into a restaurant and then just want to be treated differently because I showed up in like they'd be like me showing up to Dominic's, right? Dominic's Steakhouse where you got to have a freaking reservation. I showed up in basketball shorts looking like I'm Adam Sandler straight walking around in Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like they're not gonna be like, oh, how are you doing, Mr. Hagerman? No, they're like, dude, there's dress code. You gotta bounce. You know what I mean? But like, so you gotta set yourself up for the opportunity to be noticed differently than everybody else. And pay to play is definitely people don't like to hear it, but it's the truth. I'm sorry guys, once again, it's a capitalist society. It's a free market. You have 100% free reign on to win, fail, try, and be able to do it again. You have total control over that in your life. And so the deal is guess what? In a capitalist market, we pay attention to those that pay the money.
Or we can take this other way. So you can either pay to play and pay the person to get in front of them, pay to get in the room, pay for the partnership, whatever that may be. Or you pay yourself to be able to have the skill sets, the audience, and the business for us or for whoever you're trying to get in front of to actually want to do something with you because of now at the point that you're at, you've brought equal value. You've brought something of value other than currency, whether that be relationships, your brand, so on and so on.
Yeah. Now there's congruency, and it's easy to mesh. And well, I will say this. Obviously, at the end of the day, that's the long road. Most people aren't going to take that road of putting in so much work and spending so much time, money, effort, and energy on being able to build their value up to that point. Like, that's a very small percentage of the population. Most people are looking like, oh, like, I want to do a podcast with Andy. Okay, well, I'm just going to go pay him to show up on my podcast because he gets views. Most people are going to do that, which is cool. Like, money allows you to take the express lane when there's a lot of toll roads, okay? Mm-hmm. Like, money will allow you to do it, which is why, like, hey, listen, like, if you're a young closer, well, that's why I'm trying to, tell you guys, hey, get trained, increase your value, be able to become great at what you do, so then that way you do have the money, so then that way you can forego a couple of roadblocks, and you do have opportunities that most people won't be able to have. Like, if you pay Andy to speak on your stage, doesn't Andy bring a bigger crowd and attention? Yes, absolutely. And so the deal is like I'm all about people like becoming financially just stupidly successful. So then that way you don't even have to think about it no more. Like your business plan goes like, hey, listen, like I have a couple of goals, I have a couple of maneuvers that I need to make, a couple of moves that are very critical for the business, and then if anything else comes up, like we're good.
Yep.
That's winning to me. That's straight freedom. But waking up and going, oh, I don't know if I can pay my rent this month, that's hell on earth.
Let me give everybody some game real quick.
Yeah, give me some game.
I actually have a video dropping on this. I've dropped a Instagram reel on this already. But you want to set your goals in time frame targets. So this is very simple. Very simple, but most people, they look at their plan, it's just like goals, right? But if you do this, you'll have like at the 100% higher chance of hitting your goals versus not having it, which is setting hourly targets, daily targets, weekly targets, monthly, and then yearly.
Well, I thought
most people
just posted New Year, New Me on my Instagram story, I just win.
So most people do. New Year, New Me. Fucking don't show up to the gym or don't start stacking the goals. But it's so simple. Like most people only set yearly or monthly goals. But what's going to get you to those two is your weekly, your daily, and your hourly. Show me your hour, show me your day, show me your week. What are the results that you've gotten? Well, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So if you had a low performance week last week, you're going to have a low performance generally the next week, unless something changes.
Yeah.
It's so simple. And then you got to look at these other areas inside of your business plan. So you break it down into timelines, and then you break it down into these sections. So you got business goals, right? You got financial goals. Like, how much do I want to save? How much do I want to make? How much do I want to invest? So on. Your business goals is like, what do I want to build a brand? Do I need this connection? Do I need this system? Then you're going to have your health goals. Where do you want to be on your health? Most entrepreneurs, they just don't pay attention to their health, right? What are your health goals? And then you want to look at what is your relationship and family goals. And then the last one, spiritual goals. And not even just like, hey, do you believe in God? Do you show up to church? But like, are you staying tapped in to good people and good energy? You know, like, are you around the right people? Do you need to kick out some people from coming into this new year? Do you need to add some people in? Most people's circle of influence is generally what holds them back. You know, I was talking to this guy. I was actually talking to Zip on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, hey, man, dude, I'm starting this business, da-da-da, da-da. And we're talking about it. And I was like, man, you need to move. Like, you need to get out of, like, if you're going to start something new and big and you want to, like, really blow it up, like, you need to move outside of your city and your town. He's like, dude, that's so crazy because I was thinking about that. You know, because we want to create a new environment. It's like it's like if you were a little fish in a fish tank and you want to, like, you have these walls around you. It's hard to escape that, you know, but if you're in a big old ocean, you're in a big old body of water, you're free to kind of swim and become whoever you want to become.
100%. I mean, I tell people all the time, dude, your environment's important. Like, your environment's everything. Like, I mean, from how I was raised, I mean, for any of you wondering, just go to episode 1. But
dude, I'm to the point, like, for me, like, my environment, like, my peace, my focus, my discipline, my conversations, my enjoyment, like, around people, it's just gotten to the point where it's like, I don't want to say like I've become an asshole, but like, if I really don't like enjoy talking to you or being around you, I'm past the point of just entertaining that conversation and trying to
are you just shiesty and
be
calls?
friends. I'm not shiesty. It's not on sales calls. Sales calls is different because these are people that are like, that's my job, right? Like, it's my job to take somebody from their mindset where they're at now.
I'm talking about nobody, there's obviously, like, there's people in my life, you know, that I've, like, in the past life, like, you know, old friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, don't respond to them. Just straight, nah. You know, if they call, nah. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you're out. Like, I'm sorry. You know,
well, it's oftentimes they'll call and I already know that they want something.
Oh, every time.
Like, if I haven't talked to you within the last 30 days, like, we're not really friends. We're just, like, good acquaintances. And that's cool, right? You're going to have people that are just good acquaintances inside of your life. Or maybe you're doing business or doing something in that sense.
I have a question because I want to stick to this. I want to have a little follow-up. When it comes to your circle of influence, the people that you keep around you, what are some of the ways that you go, like, okay, this person can stay, this person has to go? Like, what's your line of thinking?
Just their energy. Like, I think energy and intention. What is your energy around me? Do you ask, when I ask about your day, do you also ask about mine? Is it selfish intent, or is it like a joint relationship? Like, you're actually have the intention for, like, my goodwill? Like, is there both things? You know, so I think energy, like, just the vibes that you get around somebody, just does it flow? Does it not flow? Are their interests aligned with my interests, or are they completely aligned? Right? The hobbies that I have, are the hobbies that you have? If they're totally different, like, if you're a fisher, right, and I like football, then, like, when we go together to have a conversation, if you're only talking about fishing, I'm only talking about football, then how the fuck am I supposed to connect with you? You know, and so just a general kind of overview, but just energy and then your intention. A lot of people just have the wrong intentions, just to either piggyback off of you or to, you know, they don't have the intention to provide anything.
I like it.
Even if it's, I don't even care about money. You could not have a lot of money and still be in my circle as long as you have loyalty, good energy, and the right intentions. Meaning, like, you also bring good energy to the table. Not financially, not something, but you're always, you know, looking out for me, and you always have good things to say. As long as you're positive, like, bro, we're good, you know?
I like it.
What about you?
Well, for me, it's just, how, like, when I talk to you, how do I leave the conversation? Like, what's my emotions when I leave the conversation with you? Like, because there's times, and I'm sure you've probably heard me do this. I get off the phone with somebody, I'm like, damn, I love that guy. You know what I mean? And then there's sometimes I get off the phone and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And so it's like, my audit is, it doesn't happen once a year. It happens often, where it goes like, how do you offboard me off the phone or out of a conversation, or, you know, in any type of room that I'm in. Like if I leave the room and I go, dude, that was a waste of my time. Okay, well then I'm never gonna go back to that room because it's stupid for me to go try again. You know what I mean? It's like running into a brick wall. Okay, running into it twice isn't gonna make the wall any weaker, and you're gonna miraculously go through it. No, you're gonna hit it even harder, and you're just gonna be in more pain, and you're what I like to call an asshole for even trying again. And so like I just go like, how do I leave the conversations? How do I leave the phone call? How do I leave the room? How do I leave, like what are the internals that I feel when I'm around that person and when I finally get done? Because like in the moment, like dude, it could all be fun, you know what I mean? Like, and then you leave, you go, yeah, I didn't like that. Wow, okay. And then done.
What I'll do sometimes is I'll give people an opportunity. So even if somebody doesn't have maybe the correct energy, it's not necessarily like their fault, right? So, but if we're having a conversation, oh man, the market sucks and this is going on, it presents me an opportunity to challenge their way of thinking, to see if they believe of what they're saying is the correct way of thinking, or if it's just the state that they're in. A lot of times people can just be in a bad state. There's often times that like I'll be negative, but I won't catch it. But I'll just think, oh, that's not really like who I am and who I align with. But if you give people the opportunity to correct it and they correct themselves, oh, you're right, man, just been a rough day. Cool, what's been happening? It gives you an opportunity to kind of go a little bit deeper. And also, too, it kind of changes the positioning of the conversation, because if you generally go into a conversation and you're not enjoying it, most of the time it will mean that either it's so negative that like it just sucks, or on the other side is that other person is talking more than you and putting in bad energy. And if you can flip it to where you challenge them, then it gives you the permission to start kind of talking and flip that conversation back. That's what I see Andy do all the time.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Well, like naturally, yes. Anybody who has the situational awareness will do that. But then there's also, you try that and then it's just like there's just no hope. You know what I mean? It's like if there's no hope, I'm sorry, but I'm not tossing. Like I'm not gonna jump in the water to drown with you. I'm sorry. I'm not.
You gotta take the life jacket if we're throwing it.
Well, you gotta swim and you've got to take the life jacket, because I'm gonna toss you a life jacket. But if you don't put it on, I'm sorry. Like it's.
What would you tell people that if they want to figure out, like, if they're going through this, if they're that person, what advice would you give them to self-reflect if they're that negative person that can't get into the right circles, the right rooms, the right conversations? They're trying to figure out how do I level up, right? Even inside the dealership, people are trying to figure out like how do I befriend my managers?
Like how me and you are talking right now about auditing circles. The reason why they are the way that they are is because they haven't audited theirs. Like who are they around? What are they putting? Like what are they attaching to? Like are they emotionally attached to somebody who's negative? Are they around in a negative environment? Right? Like I can say this. I come up from, was born and raised in a very negative environment. Like drug addict parents, abused, poor, like everything. And guess what? Like I'm happy all the time. Like I wake up, I slap myself in the chest. I'm like, dude, gotta put some air in these boys today. I got opportunity, and that's it. Like I got opportunity. God, thank you. Like I'm grateful every moment that I'm awake, because I know at one moment I've seen it with my own pops. I've seen life be taken in an instant, and the deal is I'm never gonna let that be taken for gratitude. And so if you're a naturally negative person, it's because, your cup is being diluted. If you put a cup of water, if I put a cup of water on this table and we shoot a podcast episode, it's not going to be more toxic when we get out of here and I take a sip from it. What's going to have to happen? There's an outside force, the catalyst, that's either going to put some toxin, some strychnine in it, that's going to make it toward that's poisonous. Nothing natural is just going to be like sitting there and then just be negative for no reason. So like if you're naturally that person, it's because somebody is poisoning you. A business doesn't fail because it just did everything right. Somebody poisoned it. A relationship doesn't fail because everybody did everything right. No, somebody poisoned it. I say this, like in a relationship, there's only two people that can ruin a relationship. You know who it are? You know who they are? It's the ones in it. There's only a group of people that can ruin a business. It's the ones that are employed by it.
It's true.
There's only one person that can ruin a relationship with God. You know who it is? It's you.
It's you.
Because I know one thing. I've turned my back on the man. He ain't turned his back on me once. And so the deal is, dude, there's so much good, but you got to realize that you're part of the problem. you got to eliminate, either get out of the problem or eliminate the problem. And that's advice for anybody in any business, any career. I don't care if you're 17 years old and you're still in high school. If you don't like the way you feel when you're around your friends, dude, like I'm going to tell you this, guys, there's a lot of people in this world. What is there, 8 billion people now? Okay? You need a solid 5 to 10 people that's really going to help you, like, become the best version of you. You think that the solid 5 to 10 are everybody that's in your hometown? Really? My solid 5 to 10 are people, every single one of them, nobody was raised where I was raised. Like you're in Virginia. I was born and raised in Indiana, Arkansas, and then we met when we got to Oklahoma. You weren't in Oklahoma, but when we got to Arizona.
Yep.
The deal is the Macklins, they're from Denver. Big Ryan, Wisconsin. You know what I mean? Like Andy, Oklahoma. Like Jacqueline, Oklahoma, San Jose. And so, like, the deal is, dude, my people that I keep close to my chest, that are my environment changers, they're not from my hometown. Like, do I love those people? Do I wish them massive prosperity and that they live a life that is filled with wins? Yes. But if we're not walking the same vision and we're not driving down the same highway of, like, here's my goals, well, then you just become traffic. And I'm trying to get out of traffic jams. Because there's so much else to this life that at the end of the day, dude, it's easy to get distracted. Like, I know my biggest thing for 23 is, dude, there's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of them. Like, there's things that in this world that I really, really want that, like, the God hasn't provided it for me yet. Am I impatient? Yes. I'm one of the most impatient people that you'll ever meet in your entire life. Like, any person that I've ever, been in a relationship with, they're like, hey, you extend a lot of grace to people that I really love and care about. And I'm like, yeah, of course, I'm patient. Like, I understand that, like, I'm a work in progress. I'm going to be 24 this year. I know I'm young. I'm going to be 24. But it's taken me all 23 years of this to become who I am. I got some grace for me because I knew that I was putting in some work. But if we're not on the same mission, I have no patience for that. Because that's just 100% roadblock and traffic jams, and I'm out. So for my naturally negative people out there, it's okay. Okay? It's not like it's the end of the world and then there's just no help for you. Listen, I've said it before in the past. As long as like, this is a great saying. I said this to somebody earlier on the phone that was really struggling. I said, hey man, listen, I was like, do you see the light at the end of the tunnel? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, the deal is you're still in the fucking tunnel, okay? There's light at the end of the tunnel. That's your hope, okay? There's light at the end of the tunnel. As long as you can see that, you're good. But the deal is if it's still dark around you, you're still in the fucking tunnel. You're not out yet. So stop resting on your laurels because you see hope down the road, okay? Now it's time to go harder to go live the life that you want. So, like, for my people out there, hey, listen, there is light at the end of the tunnel. But if you set up shop, you're just in the tunnel. Like, you're in the darkness. You're going to have not the life that you want, and I'm sorry, but the deal is it's time to go harder now. If you're struggling even further where you don't see that light, well, guess what? Did you listen to this podcast? Yes. Well, if you listen to this, you ain't dead, okay? Because I know for damn certain I don't have any dead people or ghosts watching this, okay? It's only people with heartbeats to share and air in that chest. That's it. So the deal is you still got hope. You still got opportunity.
One thing I like that Bradley says, he talks a lot about how just like success and making money is not that hard. And it's almost an opposite perspective of like Andy's take on it is like grind and hustle and like it's going to fucking suck. And I have both perspectives. It's like the devil and the angel on both your shoulders.
Oh yeah.
Or like I have like a mixed character between like both of them, and I agree that you have to have that type of mentality day in and day out, like to grind, and it is going to fucking suck, but it's really not that bad. It was like when Bradley talked about like he was homeless, but he was at the fucking beach.
Yeah, he's living
and he's like,
on the beach.
He was like, it wasn't really that bad. Like I didn't think I was like homeless, and for me, like I look at the life that I had, the story that I could have told myself that it was so difficult that I grew up practically, without parents because they were both working and they were divorced and all of this shit happening. Instead, my perspective, even from like a child, was that like, dude, life was fun. It wasn't that hard. I always found a way to be able to get what I wanted. And as long as you just set out and you are just determined for what you want, it's not motivation, but it's just like it's just so
I like
so
motivation.
fucking
Anybody who's
simple.
like anybody who like goes like, oh, motivate. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of like motivation because at the end of the day, like motivation, it's not what's gonna fuel you for the entire race, but it's like the starter to your engine. You know, it'll turn the
100%.
car over, but you can't really drive far with it.
Motivation gets you going. Discipline keeps you going.
100%. It's like I like a little bit of motivation. Some people need to be motivated. Like right now, like I hope some people are watching this and going, damn, you know what? He's right. Like, hey, listen, I'm sorry, but you can't wallow in self-pity for the rest of your life. Like, I say this, the murder of my father was the greatest worst thing that ever happened to me. Simply because if that didn't happen when I was 12 years old, I wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't have moved to Arkansas. I wouldn't have met Andy. I wouldn't be in Arizona right now. I wouldn't be at this podcast. So, like, that's my cataclysmic event that, like, altered my life. And I'm like, well, if I had the option to do it again or stay in Indiana and become who I was supposed to become there, yeah, I'm going through it again. Sorry. It is what it is.
I agree. I don't think that if my dad wouldn't have passed away that I wouldn't have become the man I am today. I think it maybe would have happened, right, eventually, but I don't think it would have happened like it is now. I wouldn't be able to tell the story that I'm telling right now that's forming these next couple years.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And dude, that's what's important for me to always remember is like how do I say this? The person I am now, I've already achieved goals that my past self said would make me happy. The person
it's so funny.
The person I am today, I've already achieved goals that my past self said, oh, that'd be everything to me, and I've already done it. And now I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, there's more to do. There's more to do. Yes, there's always more to do. Okay, like I'm sorry, there's always more to do. It's not, guys. Hey, listen, it's not over. You can only sip margaritas on the beach for so long. But at the end of the day, like I've always wanted to like, and a lot of it was, you know, money and stuff like that because I grew up without it. Got the money. I was like, oh, I want to be able to wear suits to work. I got a shit ton of suits. I want to have nice clothes. I got them. I want a nice car. Got it. Nice house. Got it. And for me, now it's like, okay, let's go 4 or 5 stages deeper. So then now I can set my goals for something that I know is not going to lead me to happiness, but to fulfillment.
Yeah, you have to remove. See, I've gone through this myself, but also see people stuck in it for most of their lives, if not the entirety of their life, like majority of the population. And like I'm fucking grateful that I've figured this shit out at the age of 25 years old.
You're 25 now?
25.
When did you turn 25?
December 16th. 25, baby.
That's right. Damn. Dude, I'm 24 in July. You gonna come to Turks and Caicos with me?
I'm down.
You gonna come?
We gotta come. But going back to this, like they have to remove the goal setting associated with happiness, because whether that be, if I make my first 6 figures or once I get that car, you got to remove the once I get here mentality, because once you get there, you still have the same person that you are now, just with a different result. Yeah. And so you have to learn to enjoy the moment that you're in, who you're becoming, the process, the people that you're around, because the happiness is in the process. The happiness is in being present. Why do you see both ends of the spectrum? The people that have all of the money, the multimillionaires, billionaires that commit suicide, have all this depression, and then you see, the bottom, the people in poverty are obviously, upset and not fulfilled, not happy, because they're just trying to get by. They're in a scarcity type of mindset, versus this other person who may have everything in the world. Well, it's because they've lost what the meaning of happiness is. Happiness is just whatever definition you give it. Happiness could be, once I get that million's gonna make me happy. Well, happiness isn't like once I get it. That's not how it works. Happiness is just you being present, staying connected,
outside of money, Danny,
and having fun.
Outside of money, what is your definition of it? I'll share mine.
My definition of happiness, I would just say, living a fulfilled life, achieving things that you set out to achieve, right? Like, it's not like the car doesn't make me happy, but knowing that I have the ability to manifest what I want and then go and get it makes me feel makes me feel powerful,
yeah,
right?
100%.
And I think that power of knowing that if I want something, I can go and get it makes me feel happy, because I have that confidence within myself. You know, so I would say confidence. You know, I enjoy like laughing, having a good time. You know, I think just enjoying your experience and appreciating time on this planet. You know.
That's what's up, dude. You don't know mine?
What's yours?
Mine's just have a beautiful family, wife, kids, and a Christ-centered home. That's it. Like truly, like my ultimate level of fulfillment. And I think I shared a little bit on the podcast, but the moment that I know that I already know I'm gonna break down and cry as a man, and like just know that like I did everything right, is one day like be done at the office. You know, you pull up to the house. You know, you park your car in the garage. Turn the car off. Next thing you know, you open the door and you hear a little kid screaming, "Daddy's home." You know,
when did you get there? When did you get there?
What do you mean?
Was that your mindset from 16, or was that your mindset developed within the last year or two?
That's been my.
Because your definition of happiness changes over as you grow.
Oh yeah.
You know.
My definition of fulfillment. Knowing that I've lived a purposeful life. That's always been something that I've always wanted to be able to prove to myself. Because obviously I grew up with, like my mom now, me and my mom have a very close relationship. Like I've done a lot to repair that. And, you know, like kind of understand her perspective. Like she was widowed. Like, you know, she was kind of fucking, like it was a little bit rough. Like I appreciate my mom for doing what she did. But my whole thing in life is like be able to prove that like I can do things that like, because no other Hackerman has lived past 47, male. Every one of them is either, you know, overdosed or was killed. So it's like crazy. None of them have ever been like financially literate. None of them have really had, you know, beautiful families. None of them were ever surrounded by God. And me, I want to be able to be the person that can start a new generational cycle of being able to have things like actually like make sense. Like I'm blessed that I went through like, you know, the struggles, I guess you would say, like a broken family. So I know what a good family would feel like and how to go build it. But it's always been on my heart that I want to be able to show up and have all the money to be able to go on vacations and have experiences and be able to do that, you know, be able to put my kids in a great school, be able to have them have the nice clothes and like be able to truly provide, and then be able to, you know, not be golden handcuffed and be like, oh, hey son, I'm missing your basketball game because I got to show up to work. And so like my true level of fulfillment, like that's stuck with me since I was like 14, 15, because I was the man of the house, you know, taking care of my moms and my two sisters, and you know, working and, you know, helping with bills and everything like that. And so that's always been on my heart, but it's been a lot more prevalent here in the last, you know, year and a half, 2 years, because I've now achieved a lot of money. Now, do I want to make more? Yeah, I haven't even warmed up the stove. You know, like the water isn't even boiling yet. Like you can still dip your finger in it. It's cool. But I've really achieved some pretty amazing things that I've set out to do that like, I'm not thinking, I'm like, okay, I know that I have the money part down. I know that I just need to commit harder, get more discipline, get a better plan, be able to get better processes, and be able to just do more of what I've done now, and I will be okay. You know what I mean? And just set out to do more. And now that I know that I can take care of the money, for most people, like some people have beautiful families with no money, and some people have all the money with no family. I want to be able to be somebody who can have both. So I figured out the money portion to a certain extent. Obviously, I want to make more, but now I want to figure that out. And I know that that's kind of crazy for somebody. Oh, you're 23. Like, you know, somebody was, I'm not going to say their name. They're like, Jacob, you're 23 years old, bro. Stop rushing. And I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to deal with all the shit. Like, I'm not trying to go through all of, you know, all of the trials and all of this, to go through Scottsdale. Like, dude, I'm out. Like, I don't want to go to Old Town. I don't want to do all that, dude. I just want to live a life where I go to church on Sundays, you know, have brunch, you know, make some sales calls, grind myself, you know, like as hard as I can when I'm here at the Elliott Group. But when I go home and I got my four walls, I got a beautiful family that, you know, I know that I'm doing everything in the world to be able to push and, you know, lead those people up to be even better people than I could ever be. And, you know, I got to thank my mom for that. I got to thank, you know, Brian for that. Brian's my real father, for those who don't know. You know, he was killed. But, yeah, like that's just something that like I've set out for myself. And I know that it's a weird topic. I've never really explained it in that depth, but that's something that like I truly like when I'm waking up in the mornings and like I don't want to show up to work because like I feel sick or something's happening, or and not like I don't want to show up to work. I just don't want to like fucking, you know, like be in the grind, you know, because like everything is just like you just like feel like hell, or waking up at 5 a.m. going to the gym.
There's fucking days where you don't want to get up.
Exactly.
That's fucking reality of shit.
Yeah,
There's
that's
days where
reality.
you're like, man, fuck, I just want to
dude.
relax.
And like that right there, like just the thought of coming home and hearing, like in like obviously yes, in a beautiful house with a nice car, but like what I see is like I'll have the family, but then the house will be shitty, and I'm like, fuck, I don't want a shitty house. You know what I mean? But like I'm like, if I wake up right now and I get up and I start getting after it, my vision, because now I'm in the motion of like creating this vision. I can believe and achieve and like dream of like a bigger, nicer, more beautiful house with more decorations, more luxurious garage and everything like that. So like the level of action that I'm putting into it, literally like the dream will shift towards like what size of action, like like a fucking rinky dinky house in Phoenix versus a beautiful freaking crib in in Paradise Valley, just based on how I'm grinding. And so yeah, I've never explained it in that depth on the podcast. I know that, a lot of people are probably going to be like, dude, you're 23. Like, what the hell? Like, just go have fun. I don't want to do that. Like,
bro, this shit is fun.
Bro, like, this is the best fun ever. But, like, I have this figured out. Like, I'm going to die in this company. I already know that. I've already found faith. I found my God. Like, I have everything going right. I'm just going to continue to add to the things that are I want that are right. And that's it. And so
I love the process of just knowing that, like, I'm in the game now, because the person I was before, dropping out of college, you're not even in the game.
I forgot that you dropped out of college.
Yeah, dropped out of school, man, delivered Chinese food. Like, I wasn't even in the game. And that feeling of now not only being in the game, right, if it's like a game of Monopoly, like, I've been around, I got a few properties, I got a good, like, momentum to life. And if I just keep carrying this momentum, I have a good, like you said, I got the money thing figured out. I don't think that I have the money thing fully figured out in my perspective.
No, not like to a T.
Well, for me, like, I wanna keep figuring this shit out, because I fucking enjoy, like, just the game, my theory of, like, the game and moving up the levels, and this is why I talk about, like, full circle, like, business plan. I like knowing that, like, health looks good. I like knowing that, I got social media growing, I have leads coming. I like knowing that, like, I have a team that, looks to me. I like knowing that I have sales coming and that I have clients that refer me business. And if I just keep stacking it just becomes undeniable, where I'll be at in a few years. If I stack those relationships externally, I deposit internally, and I just keep doing all the things that you would need to have to be able to just be full circle. I don't know any other way to describe it, but if I can have the mental clarity, the fitness, the health.
I like that you keep saying be full circle.
Well, it's like, it's like a game to me, right? Because
I like that.
Imagine, like,
stealing that.
Imagine it like if you were like Mortal Kombat, right? Like, everybody's got, like, every character has, like, a weakness, and then every character has, like, their strength. Well, if I know your weakness, bro, I can take you out, right? But if I have every single leg of the table sturdy and strong, you can't fucking knock me over. You're gonna have to, like, become so big and Goliath.
I don't know if you know anything about me and tables, but
Jacob likes snapping tables, bro.
Oh, throw back to that. But no, dude, that's everything, dude. Like, obviously, yes, like, always be learning and staying a student of the game. Like, 100%.
I think there's something that everybody on this podcast that is listening needs to cross the threshold. So you need to switch from, like, oh, I need to learn this skill set. I need to, in order to get to this new level. And just adopt the fact that learning becomes part of you. And once you adopt the fact that, like, learning is part of you, it's who you are, it's what you do throughout a daily basis, then you start to realize that, like, this shit's so much more abundant. But most people never get obsessed and truly love learning. They say they do, but they don't. They clock in to learn. They clock in and clock out. Like, I wake up and I love watching YouTube. I love watching podcasts. I love just being able to see what I'm building. And then it just gets really fun, because I know the direction that I'm heading. It's like literally going back to Monopoly. Like, if you see your property stacking, you see your cash stacking around the other players around you, you fucking know that you're going to win that game, because they're going to bankrupt. You're going to have to trade them out. It's just like, it's fun. And I don't take the angle of, like, taking people out. I play my game for me, for my own happiness, not even for, like, I want to do it for the family. I want to do it for the team. Yes. But, like, I selfishly do it for me first, so I can have the best version of me show up for my family and for the team. And I think if I can always put me first, I'll be able to put myself first again for all these other things.
It's kind of like how what Wes Watson said, which I'm a big fan of. What he said was, it's not how, it's who. It's not how, it's who. It's who's it gonna have to be able to get what you want. And so, I mean, I said I was on the phone earlier, and I was like, hey man, listen, like in your life, like you're a chef and you're baking up this perfect life, okay, and then your finished product is what everybody else gets served, okay. Well, the deal is, what you're doing is that you're cooking up this lifestyle, and if you use shitty and spoiled ingredients, your product, the end result is going to be shitty and spoiled, and then that's what you serve to other people. And so that's the offering that you are to the rest of the world. And so I was like, dude, listen, like sometimes like it's okay to be selfish. Okay? Like everybody, like there's such
not even just okay, it's required.
Oh, 100%.
And selfish is not a fucked up, steal money, be selfish, fuck people over, but be selfish with your time. Be selfish with who's around you. Don't be someone that just gets to fucking be all walked around and just walking through life, walking through situations. Most people just coast through shit. They coast through their job. They coast through their circles. They coast through everything. And they never make decisions because they're too afraid of people saying, oh, dude, you're being an asshole. You're being a dick. Well, I'm going to have that come my way. If I'm wanting to pursue something, then, like, I don't really give a fuck what you think about me because I know what I think about me, and that shit's pretty fucking good.
Oh, yeah.
And the people that matter, as long as they also respect and see a glimpse of that same thing. No one's ever going to see 100% of what you see in yourself, but if they can see a glimpse of it, then you're good.
Oh, yeah. No, that's it, man. That's it. Damn, what a good episode. What a good episode, man.
What piece of advice would you give to the people listening?
For my viewers, man, is, guys, listen, it's
going into 2024, right? They're setting a new tone. They're soaking up more podcasts. They're plugging in more to the Elliott Group.
I'm simply going to say this. What you got last year in 2023 is because of the play that you ran, okay? Like, your results from 2023 are based strictly off the play that you continue to run those 365 days. So in 2024, if you want a different result, you're going to have to run some different plays. And if you don't know what kind of plays to run, well, the deal is that's why there's a coach's handbook. That's why there's mentors. That's why there's things out there that are going to allow you access to new information, because new information allows for new action. New action done for a long and continuous period of time creates habits, and habits create demand. So the deal is it all starts with new information. And if you don't know where to get new information, find people that are trusted. Obviously, if you made it an hour and 2 minutes in the podcast, I'd like to say, on a whim, maybe out of nowhere, a freaking fairy dust possibility that we're an okay, trusted source of information in your life. Well, the deal is who is it that we trust? Well, I trust Andy Elliott first and foremost, and that's the reason why I work with him. That's the reason why I freaking rep him every second that I've got. That's the reason why he's, the guy got 1,000% of trust from me, and I get it from him, and that's the reason why I try to go so hard for you guys, is so then that way you can get exposed to more of him. So, new information, run new plays, and if you don't know what type of play to run, well, reach out. I mean, that's the only thing that you can do. It's text me 501-504-4835 or hit me on the Instagram at The Really Young Closer, and let's just talk about running a new play. Because if you don't, I mean, you're just going to get what you got last year, and most people are going to live the same life this year that they did last. So if you want to be different, got to run a new play. Danny, what do you got for them?
My piece of advice for people going into 2024 and they're trying to have a better them, a better me, you have to look at, like, what did I just so it's so simple. What did you do? Right? Like, what's the play? Kind of bouncing off what you said. What's the play that you ran last year? Did you get ahead financially? Did you get ahead in your relationship? Did you make the progress you wanted to make? And if you're not making the progress, there's no way that you can be happy with not making progress. So I would tell you, figure out what goals you want to hit, put those deadlines on them, like I said in the very beginning of the podcast, and then just go and figure out, what do I have to do hourly, daily, weekly, and monthly to be able to hit these yearly goals that you set out for yourself, and just think more abundantly. This shit's not as hard, as you make it seem. You can get the job you want to get, you can make the money you want to make, but most people just don't want to realize that they have to start that process, because that beginning of the process is the most difficult. If you're not willing to sacrifice 1 year for what you want, then don't even try. You know what I'm saying? Like, just stay kind of where you're at and just enjoy watching and doing whatever you're doing. There's nothing wrong with that life. But if you're wanting to attack this new level that you're in, you have to start with this and create some momentum for yourself. Notice how I said, like, I feel like I'm in this game. It's because I've created momentum for myself. And I'm nowhere close to who I want to be, or I am close to who I want to be, but where I'm going. And so I would tell you, create some momentum for yourself, set some deadlines for yourself, and then just hold yourself accountable. You know, don't be so fucking hard on yourself when, you know, you have one day where you sleep in, or you have one day that, like, you maybe don't hit your sales target, or one bad month. Just keep the mentality that you've adopted that gave you the momentum in the first place, and don't fucking stop. Keep getting into new rooms. That what got you, a lot of times what got you where you're at now will also get you will get you further ahead also. It's like, a lot of times I see salespeople like, oh, I'm bottlenecked here. You know, I'm only making this amount. Well, what got you to this? Okay, where's your day at? Well, could you fit more in? Yeah, I can fit more in. Well, that could get you double the results that you're already getting if you just do more. So identify, are you already doing more? And if you're doing more, sometimes you may need to change the path and you run a new play. 100%. But just keep attacking, and man, stay plugged in with us, man. If you need resources, there's coaches and mentors for a reason, whether that be us, whether that be Andy, whether that be whoever you look up to. If you ask the people that you look up to how they get to where they're at, they got by studying and learning from mentors and running the plays that they ran. You don't need to create something fucking new. You just need to do what they've done. You can literally copycat your way into success. It's fucking crazy. Like, so if you're trying to struggle to figure out what you're doing, you're overthinking. Just copy what somebody's done.
So Danny, drop your socials.
Official Danny Klein on Instagram and official Danny Klein on YouTube. Just dropped it. Show me some love. Show me some follows. We're posting out some fire content.
If you're one of the young closers, man, reach out. Show some love on the comments. You know, be like, hey, seeing you on the Young Closer podcast. Let's see if we can't get you guys out there, get Danny some bigger momentum. Obviously, I'm gonna drop all of his socials in the description of, you know, the YouTube video and on podcast, on like Apple and everything like that, Spotify. So then that way, you know, he has full access. But guys, I really appreciate you listening. You know, obviously follow me on Instagram at The Real Young Closer. Hey, listen, this podcast, I know that it's sometimes it's all about sales, sometimes it's about life, but the deal is there's people that I see in my life that have massive levels of value to give because they give to me. And so if there's anything that, like, you learned in this episode, like, please, 100%, like, put it to play. Like, we don't just, like, at the end of the day, like, I never thought that I'd be somebody doing a fucking podcast. You know, I never did. But I'm happy that I am somebody that is doing a podcast, because now when I think of stuff, I'm like, dude, I got to go learn some new experiences. Otherwise, I'm going to be dull. I'm going to be stale. I'm going to be nobody that nobody wants to listen to. And so you guys push me like I push you. And so there's just a whole lot of congruency in what we're trying to accomplish here. So I love you guys to death. Y'all keep kicking ass. Y'all keep rocking and rolling. If y'all need anything at all, obviously reach out to me, reach out to Danny, reach out to your favorite coach in the Elliott Group, and let's just go dominate 2024. There's no reason for us to not win at a very high level. So that's all I got, Danny. You got anything else?
That's it. Let's become undeniable 2024. Appreciate it, bro.
I like getting money, I got time to get it. Target on me, so my car's a tinted. Dancing with the devil, I don't bargain with it. Bobbing in the dash, and the stick is with it. And I hit the 4-5 on the west side.